Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story. I arrived at my in-laws' house in Highland Park 3 hours ahead of schedule on Christmas Eve, and the conversation I heard through their partially open dining room window obliterated 9 years of marriage in under 90 seconds. My name is Daniel Cross, and this is the story of how my wife's Christmas confession turned my world upside down, and how 4 weeks later, everyone who betrayed me realized they'd made the biggest mistake of their lives. The Dallas snow was falling in lazy flakes that December evening, a rare sight for Texas. I'd just wrapped up a critical security audit for one of our biggest clients at CyberShield Technologies, finishing 3 hours earlier than expected. The audit had been brutal, but I'd finally cracked it. My boss gave me the rest of the week off with a promise of a bonus in January. Instead of sitting in my apartment, I decided to surprise my wife Kate at the annual Wilson family Christmas Eve gathering. We'd been married 9 years, together for 11, and lately I'd been working so much we barely saw each other. This would be a nice surprise. The Wilson house looked like it had been pulled straight from a luxury home magazine. White lights wrapped around every column of the massive Highland Park estate, professionally installed and perfectly spaced. Wreaths hung on every window with red velvet bows. Through the bay window, I could see that enormous Douglas fir that Kate's mother Patricia insisted on decorating the day after Thanksgiving every single year. The house was old Dallas money. Built in the 1920s, stone facade, slate roof, manicured boxwoods. Patricia loved to remind people it had been featured in D magazine twice. I parked on the street, leaving the circular driveway clear for the catering vans already there. I grabbed the wine from my passenger's seat, an expensive Caymus Cabernet that Patricia had specifically requested, and headed toward the front door. That's when I heard Kate's voice coming from the dining room window, which someone had cracked open despite the cold because they'd been cooking all afternoon. Her voice was clear, excited, completely unguarded. "Mom, I need to tell you something before everyone arrives. I'm 5 weeks pregnant." I froze on the walkway, snowflakes collecting on my shoulders. Something told me to document this. I quietly pulled my phone from my pocket and started the voice recorder. Patricia's voice responded with pure delight. "Oh my goodness. Does Daniel know?" Kate laughed. The sound made my stomach turn. "It's not Daniel's baby. It's Gregory's. Gregory Ashford, my boss." The wine bottle suddenly weighed 1,000 pounds in my hands. "The VP?" Patricia sounded even more delighted. "Kate, that's wonderful. Gregory is exactly the kind of man you should have married. Successful, charismatic, not like Daniel with his boring computer security job. Gregory makes more than twice what Daniel makes, Mom. Plus bonuses. He's taking me to Cabo next month when he tells his wife he wants a divorce." My vision narrowed to a pinpoint. 9 years of marriage. 9 years. "When will you tell Daniel?" Patricia asked, her tone suggesting this was merely a logistical question, not a moral one. "After New Year's. I'll file for divorce in January. Gregory's lawyer says I should get the house since I've been the one actually decorating it and making it a home. Daniel just pays the mortgage like a good little ATM." Patricia laughed. "I never understood what you saw in him. So plain, so ordinary. No ambition beyond that dead-end security job. He's comfortable, Mom. Comfortable and predictable. But Gregory makes me feel alive. And his connections could get me a VP position at another firm once I leave Nexus." I backed away from that window slowly, quietly, like I was retreating from a crime scene. My hands weren't shaking from the cold. They were shaking from pure rage, crystallizing into something cold and clear and utterly focused. Everything I thought I knew about my life had just shattered. 9 years of marriage. 9 years of believing we were building something together. 9 years of coming home to someone I thought loved me. All of it had been a lie. Or at least, it had become a lie somewhere along the way, and I'd been too blind or too busy or too trusting to see it. The worst part wasn't even the affair. It was the casual cruelty of it. The way she laughed about me. The way her mother joined in, mocking my career, my ambition, my entire existence. The way they discussed my future, our divorce, my loss of the house, like it was already decided and I was just too stupid to know it yet. Like a good little ATM, that's what she'd called me. That's what 9 years of loyalty and love had earned me. The privilege of being her personal cash machine while she planned her exit strategy with a man who made more money. I got back in my car, set that expensive wine on the passenger seat, and just sat there for a moment. The snow kept falling. The Christmas lights kept twinkling. Inside that house, my wife and her mother kept planning my destruction while probably sampling Patricia's famous eggnog. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't punch the steering wheel like they do in movies. Instead, I started my car and made 3 calls that would change everything. The first call was to Mitchell Burke, my lawyer. We'd gone to college together at UT Dallas, and he owed me a favor from when I'd helped him recover crucial case files after a ransomware attack 3 years ago. "Mitch, I need to file for divorce," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. My wife just told her mother she's 5 weeks pregnant with her boss's child. I overheard the entire conversation 5 minutes ago. The relaxed holiday tone vanished from his voice. "Jesus, Daniel. I'm so sorry. Are you absolutely certain about what you heard?" "Crystal clear." She named him. "Gregory Ashford, VP at her company. They're planning to divorce their spouses in January. I need papers filed immediately. Courts are closed until December 27th for the holiday, but I'll draft everything tonight." "Do you have a prenup?" "Yes. Ironclad adultery clause. We updated it 4 years ago when we refinanced the house." "Then she gets nothing. I'll make sure of it." "Where are you right now?" "Still outside her parents' house. About to call her and make an excuse." "Smart. Don't tip your hand. Let me do some research on this Gregory Ashford. VP-level executive. There might be more here." The second call was to my older sister Cassandra. Cassie was a former FBI digital forensics specialist who now ran a private investigation firm out of Fort Worth. If anyone could gather evidence quickly and quietly, it was her. "Cassie, I need your help. Kate's having an affair with her boss. She's pregnant. I need complete documentation within 72 hours. "Slow down. What's the boss's name and company?" "Gregory Ashford, VP of Marketing at Nexus Innovations. Dallas office." "Nexus Innovations." I could hear her typing already. "Daniel, I know that company. I investigated one of their competitors last year. Give me until tomorrow afternoon. I'll have a preliminary workup." "She's 5 weeks pregnant. The affair's probably been going on much longer. I'll pull phone records, credit card statements, hotel surveillance. If he's done this before, and guys like this usually have, I'll find the pattern." "Where are you staying tonight?" "Can I crash at your place? I don't want to be alone right now." "Already making up the guest room. Get here. We have work to do." Before I tell you what happened next, if you're finding this story valuable, please hit subscribe and leave a comment about a time when you discovered a truth that changed everything. Your support helps me share more stories like this one. Now, back to the moment my entire world shifted. The third call was to Kate. I needed to play this perfectly. She answered on the second ring, party noise in the background. "Hey, where are you?" "Dad's about to carve the ham." "Still at the office." "Major security breach at the Johnson account. I'll be at least 3 more hours dealing with this." She sounded relieved, not disappointed. "Oh no, that's terrible timing. Will you make it at all?" "Probably not until 9 or 10. You go ahead and enjoy. Give everyone my apologies." "I will. Don't work too hard, honey." She called me honey. She never called me that anymore. I hung up and noticed my hands had stopped shaking. The rage had crystallized into something else. Something methodical. I drove from Highland Park to Cassie's Fort Worth loft, a 45-minute drive through light holiday traffic. Her building was in historic Sundance Square, one of those modern loft conversions with exposed brick and high ceilings. When I arrived, she was waiting with coffee and her laptop already running. "Tell me everything," she said. And I mean everything, down to the smallest detail. I told her. Every word I'd heard through that window. Every inflection. Every laugh. Cassie pulled up Gregory Ashford's background within 20 minutes. Married 17 years, 2 daughters in private school at Hockaday. Member of Dallas Country Club, Brook Hollow Golf Club. Drives a Mercedes S-Class. Wife Michelle teaches at St. Mark's School of Texas. What about his professional history? Here's where it gets interesting. He's been with Nexus for 6 years. Before that, Stratton Digital for 8 years. Left Stratton suddenly. No announcement, just vanished from their website. That's unusual for a VP-level departure. Very. Cassie picked up her phone. "I have a contact at Stratton. Let me make a call." I listened as Cassie talked to her former colleague, mostly just listening, asking occasional questions. When she hung up, her expression was grim. Gregory was forced out. 2 harassment settlements. both buried with NDAs. The company paid out $340,000 total to make the women go away. So he's done this before, multiple times. And Daniel, my contact, says there were rumors of financial irregularities too, but nothing proven. He left before they could investigate fully. I leaned forward. What kind of irregularities? I'm going to call Jordan Hayes. You said he's IT director at Nexus now? Yeah, we worked together at Data Fortress 5 years ago. Good guy, completely ethical. Cassie put the call on speaker. Jordan answered on the third ring. Cassie Cross, I haven't heard from you since that Austin conference. What's up? I need information on Gregory Ashford at your company. This is regarding a personal matter for someone you know. There was a long pause. Gregory Ashford? What do you need to know about him? It's about a personal matter involving Daniel Cross. You remember Daniel, right? Daniel Cross. Wait, isn't his wife Catherine Cross in marketing? She reports to Gregory. Jordan's voice shifted, understanding dawning. Oh no, is this about them? I leaned toward the phone. Jordan, this is Daniel. You suspected something? Not about the affair specifically, but I've suspected something. Gregory's been running suspicious vendor payments through the system. Fake invoices, shell companies. I've been documenting everything, waiting for the right moment. Cassie and I exchanged glances. How much are we talking? Conservative estimate? 1.8 million over 4 years. I was planning to go to the CFO after the holidays, but if you need this information now, I need it. Kate told her mother tonight that she's pregnant with Gregory's baby. They're planning to divorce their spouses in January. That son of a... Jordan's anger was palpable. Daniel, I'll send you everything I have. Encrypted files, fully documented. Bank transfers, fake vendor registrations, the whole setup. Cassie spoke up. Jordan, this could go federal. Are you prepared for that? I've been waiting for someone to give me a reason to pull the trigger. Consider this my Christmas gift to Daniel. I spent Christmas Day at Cassie's loft, while Kate sent me increasingly worried text messages that turned to annoyance. Where are you? At 7 in the morning. Are you still at work? At 9. Please call me. I'm getting worried at 10:30. I responded vaguely about the security breach, about clients threatening lawsuits. Each lie came easier than the last. Cassie worked through the night and all Christmas Day, calling in contacts across Dallas and Fort Worth. She had friends everywhere, hotels, private security, tech specialists. She operated with surgical precision. By noon on December 25th, she had a folder over 200 pages thick. Hotel records showing Gregory and Kate at the Adolphus Hotel 6 times, checking in as Mr. and Mrs. G. Anderson. Restaurant receipts from Fearing's, Town Hearth, Georgie, all the expensive Dallas spots. Text messages from Kate's cloud backup, explicit content about their future, about how much better Gregory was than me. Surveillance footage from the Adolphus and a Dallas Arts District apartment building. Financial records from Jordan documenting the embezzlement, spreadsheets, fake vendors, offshore accounts. HR records from Stratton Digital showing 2 harassment settlements with legal agreements and payouts. And the timeline. The affair started in February, almost 11 months ago, right after Kate's promotion. I'd taken her out to celebrate. I'd been proud of her. Your wife's been planning this for a long time, Cassie said, sliding the folder across her desk to me. She wasn't the first. Won't be the last. This guy has a pattern. What about Michelle Ashford? I asked. His wife. Should I contact her? Cassie nodded slowly. She deserves to know. But Daniel, are you sure you want to do this? Once you make that call, there's no going back. There's already no going back. On December 26th at 10 in the morning, I made the call that would seal Gregory Ashford's fate. Michelle answered on the second ring. Hello? Mrs. Ashford, my name is Daniel Cross. I don't know you, but I'm married to one of your husband's employees, Catherine Cross. I'm calling because we need to discuss your husband. There was a long pause. I heard background noise stop as she moved to a private room. What about Gregory? He's been having an affair with my wife for almost a year. She's pregnant with his child. I discovered this on Christmas Eve, and I have extensive documentation. How extensive? Hotel records, photographs, text messages, restaurant receipts. Everything you would need for divorce proceedings. Her voice was steady, almost unsurprised. Mr. Cross, I've known Gregory was unfaithful for at least 5 years. I've stayed because of our daughters and because I had no proof. But a pregnancy, that changes things. What else do you have? Evidence that he's been embezzling from Nexus Innovations. Approximately 1.8 million through fake vendor contracts. I heard her sharp intake of breath. That I didn't know. Can you prove it? I can. I have an IT director who's been documenting everything, ready to turn it over to federal authorities. Why are you calling me, Mr. Cross? You could have just filed for divorce and moved on. Because your husband destroyed my marriage while destroying yours. Because those are your daughters who deserve to know the truth. And because I believe in doing the right thing, even when it's hard. When can we meet? 2 hours later, I sat across from Michelle Ashford at La Madeleine in Highland Park. She arrived exactly on time, poised and intelligent. She looked tired but composed, like someone who'd been expecting bad news and was ready to handle it. She wore jeans and a simple sweater, no jewelry except a wedding ring I suspected she'd be removing soon. She looked like a teacher, calm, professional, someone who'd learned to project control even in chaos. Cassie presented the evidence folder methodically. Michelle examined documents for 30 minutes, asked detailed questions, and took notes. This is remarkably thorough, she said finally. Your sister is FBI? Was, Cassie said. Now private, but I maintain contacts. The embezzlement. If this goes to authorities, Gregory will face prison time. Yes, probably federal charges. 10 to 20 years. Michelle nodded, her face showing no emotion. Good. My daughters deserve better than a father who's a criminal and a serial cheater. There was steel in her voice. This wasn't a woman falling apart. This was a woman who'd been waiting years for this moment. I'm sorry this happened to you, I said. She looked at me directly. I'm sorry it happened to both of us. But Daniel, thank you for having the courage to call me. Most men wouldn't. Thank you for thinking of my daughters and me. We spent the next hour coordinating our strategy. Michelle would file for divorce simultaneously. Cassie would coordinate with her FBI contact in the white-collar crime division. Jordan would submit the fraud documentation to the FBI independently. We'd file the divorce papers on December 27th, the first day the courts reopened. And we'd make sure Gregory and Kate were served in the most public, humiliating way possible. December 27th arrived cold and clear. At 8 in the morning, Mitchell filed the divorce petition in Dallas County Court. Grounds: adultery with complete documentation. The prenup was ironclad. Kate would get 0 assets, no alimony, no claim to the house or my retirement accounts. The process server arrived at Nexus Innovations at 10 o'clock. Kate was in the quarterly marketing review meeting. 12 people were present, including Gregory Ashford. The server walked into the conference room. Catherine Cross. Yes? You've been served. According to Jordan, who watched from his office across the hall, Kate went white as a sheet. She looked immediately at Gregory with pure panic in her eyes. Gregory tried to play it cool, suggesting they take a 10-minute break so Kate could handle her personal matter privately. But the damage was done. Everyone in that room knew exactly what divorce papers looked like. And office gossip spreads faster than wildfire in a Texas drought. Kate gathered the papers with shaking hands and fled to her office on the 3rd floor, shutting the door behind her. She sat at her desk, staring at the petition, her carefully constructed future crumbling on legal letterhead. By lunch, everyone at Nexus knew Kate Cross was getting divorced. By early afternoon, they knew it was because she was having an affair with Gregory Ashford. At 11:30 that same morning, the FBI arrived at Nexus Innovations. Special Agent Robert Wall led a team of 4 agents straight to the receptionist. We're here to see Gregory Ashford. Gregory walked to the lobby, confident it was a misunderstanding. Some accounting question. Maybe something about the quarterly reports. Gregory Ashford, you're under arrest for wire fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. Agent Wall read him his Miranda rights in the lobby, in full view of every employee who happened to be walking by. Gregory demanded his lawyer. They turned him around and put handcuffs on him right there, then walked him through the office in what cops call a perp walk. Kate watched from the 3rd floor window as federal agents put Gregory into an unmarked car, her divorce papers still clutched in one hand. She just sat at her desk, watching her future disappear into a federal vehicle. That afternoon, Nexus Innovations went into crisis mode. The CEO called an emergency executive meeting. HR reviewed Gregory's file and found the buried harassment complaints from his previous company. The legal team advised immediate termination. At 3 o'clock, Kate was called to HR. Ms. Cross, we're conducting a review of all employees in Mr. Ashford's division. Were you aware of any financial irregularities in his department? No, I had no knowledge of anything like that. Were you involved in a personal relationship with Mr. Ashford? Kate hesitated. That's personal. The HR director's face was professionally neutral. Ms. Cross, we have documentation suggesting otherwise. We're placing you on administrative leave pending investigation. You can't do this. We can and we are. Please collect your personal belongings and surrender your access badge. By December 28th, back at my own house for the first time since the discovery, I was ready for step 4 of my plan. This one was personal. I prepared a special package for Patricia Wilson. Inside was a complete transcript of the Christmas Eve conversation I'd overheard. You see, when I first heard voices through that window, I'd activated my phone's voice recorder. I had every word they'd said. I sent copies to Reverend Thomas Patterson at Highland Park Presbyterian Church, where Patricia volunteered, to the president of the Preston Hollow Garden Club, where Patricia served on the committee, to the Dallas Women's Auxiliary Board, where Patricia was events coordinator. And I sent a copy to Frank Wilson, Patricia's husband, at his office. The transcript included Patricia's enthusiastic support of Kate's affair, her mocking comments about me, her dismissal of marriage vows, her materialism and status obsession, her active encouragement of adultery. On December 29th, Reverend Patterson called Patricia for a pastoral counseling meeting. On December 30th, the Garden Club president asked Patricia to step back from the committee. On December 31st, the Women's Auxiliary removed Patricia from her events coordinator position. On January 2nd, Frank Wilson checked into the Crescent Hotel downtown. He left a note for Patricia. I married a woman with integrity. I don't recognize who you've become. Meanwhile, Mitchell presented settlement terms to Kate's lawyer. They tried to negotiate. Mitchell shut them down immediately. Your client committed adultery. The prenup is clear. She receives her personal clothing, her car, and whatever is in her individual checking account. That's approximately $3,400. Kate's lawyer protested. She needs somewhere to live. She's pregnant. That's not my client's problem. The child isn't his. She should discuss living arrangements with Gregory Ashford. Oh wait, he's in federal custody. The settlement was finalized. Kate got nothing. The house stayed with me. My retirement accounts were protected. No alimony. No spousal support. On January 3rd, Gregory had his bail hearing. The prosecutor argued he was a flight risk because they'd discovered offshore accounts. Bail was set at $500,000. Michelle refused to post it. Gregory remained in Dallas County Jail. On January 15th, a federal grand jury handed down an indictment. 14 counts of wire fraud, 8 counts of money laundering, 6 counts of embezzlement. Potential sentence, 25 to 30 years in federal prison. Nexus Innovations filed a civil suit for $1.8 million plus damages. Michelle filed for divorce, seeking full custody of their daughters and all marital assets. Sophia and Emma Ashford, ages 14 and 11, learned their father was a criminal and a serial cheater. Michelle got them into therapy immediately. 3 weeks after I discovered the truth, Kate's termination from Nexus became official. The reason listed was departmental restructuring. The actual reason was company liability and her relationship with an arrested executive. Kate applied to 15 marketing positions in Dallas. No callbacks. Word had spread through the industry faster than she could have imagined. She moved into a small apartment in Garland, a budget suburb northeast of Dallas. She had to sell her Audi Q5 to pay legal fees and bought a used Honda Civic. The pregnancy was progressing, and morning sickness made everything worse. She tried to contact me 47 times. I blocked every call. She tried to visit my house. I called the police for trespassing. She reached out to old friends. Most of them ghosted her after hearing the story. 6 weeks after discovery, Patricia Wilson's consequences deepened. Frank filed for legal separation. The church removed Patricia from all volunteer positions. Her social circle evaporated. She attempted to contact me through Mitchell. His response was brief. My client has no interest in communication with your family. Patricia showed up at my workplace. Security escorted her out. I filed a restraining order. 3 months after discovery, in late March, Gregory's trial date was set for September 15th. The prosecution had overwhelming evidence. Gregory's lawyer recommended a plea deal. Kate was subpoenaed as a potential witness. By then, Kate's pregnancy was visible. She was 18 weeks along, living on unemployment benefits and working retail at North Park Center. The former VP's pregnant mistress, selling handbags at a mall kiosk. Her former co-workers sometimes saw her there. They avoided eye contact. 5 months after Christmas Eve, I met Michelle for coffee for the 4th time. We'd been meeting regularly, comparing notes on our respective legal proceedings, offering each other support. We sat at the Starbucks Reserve in Knox District. Michelle looked tired but relieved. Gregory took a plea deal. 18 years in federal prison. How are the girls handling it? Better than expected. Sophia is angry, Emma is confused. But they're both in therapy, and we're moving forward. And you? Relieved. Exhausted. But free. The divorce is final next week. I get the house, full custody, his retirement accounts. He'll have nothing when he gets out. I'm glad you're okay. She smiled. I wanted to thank you again. If you hadn't called me that day, I might have stayed in denial for years. We helped each other. Michelle paused, looked down at her coffee, then back up at me. Daniel, I know this might be too soon, but would you want to have dinner sometime? Not as people dealing with divorce logistics, just as two people who might enjoy each other's company. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Could I trust someone again? I'd like that. But can we take it slow? I'm still processing everything. Slow is perfect. 8 months after discovery, my divorce from Kate was finalized. I took Cassie to dinner at Fearing's, the same restaurant where Kate and Gregory had their affair dinners. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. You handled this perfectly, Cassie said, raising her glass. No violence, no illegal activity, just systematic legal destruction. I learned from the best. So what's next? I'm having dinner with Michelle tomorrow. Actual date, not coffee meeting. Cassie smiled. Good. She's good people. Smart, honest, been through hell, and came out stronger. Like me. Exactly like you. 10 months after discovery, I ran into Kate at the Whole Foods on Lover's Lane. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I was picking up groceries for dinner with Michelle and the girls. I turned the corner from the produce section into the baby aisle, and there she was. She was pushing a stroller with a baby boy visible, maybe 2 or 3 months old, bundled in a blue blanket despite the Texas heat outside. The stroller was one of those cheap umbrella types you get at Target, not the expensive European brand she'd once insisted we'd buy when the time was right. The time had never been right with me, apparently, but it had been right with Gregory. She looked exhausted in a way that went beyond new motherhood. She'd aged well beyond her 34 years. Her hair, which she'd always kept perfectly highlighted and styled, was pulled back in a messy ponytail showing at least an inch of roots. She wore cheap clothes, the kind you get in multi-packs from discount stores, stained with what looked like baby spit up. She had dark circles under her eyes that no amount of concealer could hide, though it didn't look like she was wearing any makeup at all. This was the woman who used to spend 2 hours getting ready for dinner parties. The woman who'd had a standing appointment at the best salon in Highland Park. The woman who'd mocked my boring computer security job while spending my money on luxuries. She saw me and froze, her hands gripping the stroller handle so tight her knuckles went white. Daniel, wait, please. Can we talk? Against my better judgment, I stopped and turned. Maybe I wanted to see this up close. Maybe I wanted to confirm that karma was real. What do you want, Kate? I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. For the affair, for what I said about you, for all of it. I was so wrong about everything. About Gregory, about what mattered about you. I threw away something real for something that was just fantasy, and now I'm paying for it every single day. I looked at her and felt absolutely nothing. No anger. No hurt. Not even satisfaction at seeing how far she'd fallen. She was just a stranger now, someone I used to know in another life. Okay. That's all. Daniel, I'm trying to apologize. I'm trying to tell you that I know I was wrong, that I regret everything, that if I could go back. But you can't go back. None of us can. What else is there to say? You made choices. These are the consequences. We're done here. Don't you want to know about the baby? His name is... No. The word came out harder than I intended. He's Gregory Ashford's son. He's your responsibility, not mine. I don't want to know his name. I don't want to know anything about him. That's your life now, not mine. Gregory's in prison. I'm doing this alone. It's so hard, Daniel. I have no money, no job prospects, My mother won't speak to me. I'm working 2 retail jobs and barely making rent, and I'm so tired all the time, and I have no help, and none of that is my problem. You wanted Gregory. You wanted his lifestyle, his status, his money. You got pregnant with his child. Those were your choices, Kate. You made them knowing exactly what you were doing. You mocked me to your mother. You called me a good little ATM. You planned to take my house. You spent 11 months building a life with another man while pretending to love me. But I made a mistake. People make mistakes. No, Kate, you didn't make a mistake. Mistakes are accidents. Mistakes are one-time errors in judgment. You made a series of deliberate choices over 11 months. You chose to have an affair. You chose to continue it. You chose to get pregnant, whether on purpose or through carelessness. You chose to mock me to your mother. You chose to plan my destruction. Every single one of those was a choice. Now you're living with those choices, and I'm living with mine. And I choose to walk away. I turned and left her standing there in the baby aisle, surrounded by diapers and formula and the wreckage of the life she'd chosen. Behind me, I heard her start to cry, that same crying that used to make me want to comfort her, to fix whatever was wrong, to be the good husband who made everything better. But I kept walking. That chapter of my life was closed. And I had my own life waiting for me, with people who actually valued me. 1 year exactly after the discovery, on Christmas Eve, I spent the evening with Michelle and her daughters. We'd been officially dating for 6 months. Sophia and Emma had warmed to me gradually. I helped with homework, attended school events, and never tried to replace their father. I just tried to be someone stable and honest in their lives. A year ago, we were both married to liars, Michelle said as we sat together after the girls had gone to bed. A year ago, I didn't know who I could trust. And now I know exactly who I can trust. 18 months after discovery, I proposed to Michelle at the Dallas Arboretum, in the Rosine Pergola where we'd had our first official date. Sophia and Emma were there. I'd asked their permission first, and they both said yes. Michelle said yes too. In July, Kate sent me a Facebook message. I saw you're engaged. Congratulations. I wanted to reach out one more time. Can we talk? I've changed. I'm in therapy. I want to apologize properly. I deleted the message without responding and blocked her on all platforms. Michelle saw the notification. Was that Kate? Doesn't matter. That chapter is closed. In August, Patricia sent a card to our engagement announcement. Wishing you both happiness. I hope we can move past our differences. I returned it unopened with return to sender. No contact desired, written on the envelope. On December 28th, just over 2 years after the discovery that changed my life, Michelle and I got married at Rosewood Mansion on Turtle Creek. The venue was elegant without being ostentatious, beautiful without being showy. Exactly what we both wanted. A celebration of something real, not a performance for social media. 40 guests attended. Close friends and family only. People who'd supported us through the divorces, through the healing process, through the slow rebuilding of our ability to trust. Cassie was my best person, standing beside me in a sharp navy suit, pride evident in her eyes. Sophia and Emma were junior bridesmaids in dresses they'd picked out themselves, looking nervous and excited and beautiful. Mitchell officiated, having gotten ordained online specifically for this occasion. He'd helped me destroy my old life legally and completely, and now he was helping me start my new one. The symmetry of it felt right. Frank Wilson attended, divorced from Patricia now and supportive of me in ways his ex-wife never was. He'd reached out months earlier to apologize for not seeing what Patricia was really like, for not standing up for me when he should have. We'd had coffee, talked, and I'd forgiven him. He'd been a victim of Patricia's manipulation too. Our vows focused on trust, honesty, and second chances. Michelle promised to always tell me the truth, even when it was hard. I promised the same. We promised to protect each other's hearts the way we'd failed to protect them in our first marriages. We promised to never take each other for granted. When Michelle said, "I do," her voice was strong and certain. When I said it, I meant it with every fiber of my being. This wasn't the naive optimism of a first marriage. This was the hard-won commitment of two people who knew exactly how badly things could go wrong and had chosen to try again anyway. Our first dance was To Come Away With Me by Norah Jones, swaying slowly in the center of the room while our friends and family watched. Sophia and Emma joined us halfway through, and we danced as a family, the four of us building something new together. In my toast, I raised my glass and said, 2 years ago, I thought my life was over. I thought the worst thing that could ever happen to me had just happened. I was wrong. The worst thing wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of learning who I could really trust. The beginning of understanding what real love looks like. The beginning of building something genuine instead of settling for something convenient. So here's to new beginnings, to second chances, and to the people brave enough to take them. That night, Michelle asked me, "Do you ever think about Kate?" "No. That person doesn't exist in my life anymore." "What about Gregory?" "He's exactly where he belongs. Prison, broke, abandoned. He'll be there for 16 more years." "Do you think they ever realized what they lost?" "Probably. But by the time they did, it was too late." That's the thing about betrayal. The consequences are permanent, even if the regret is sincere. "I'm glad you called me that day." "I'm glad you answered." "Promise me we'll always be honest with each other, no matter how hard the truth is." "I promise. No more lies, no more secrets. Just us, building something real." The best revenge isn't destroying the people who betrayed you. It's building a life so genuine, so full of real love and trust, that their betrayal becomes irrelevant. Kate and Gregory and Patricia all paid their prices. They face their consequences every single day. Kate works 2 retail jobs, raising Gregory's son alone in a budget apartment in Garland. Gregory sits in federal prison in Texarkana with 16 years remaining, his daughters refusing all contact. Patricia lives in a small condo in Richardson, divorced, socially exiled, refusing to speak to her daughter Kate. But I don't think about them anymore. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.